Hello, once again, this is Antonio, and I'm coming at you with another exciting video. Now, let me ask you a question. What if you were out, you went, you work for a job, a delivery job, and your sole job is to deliver packages, or maybe you delivering food, maybe you delivering grocery, because there's so many delivery services that goes to residents' homes from time to time. Now, think about Ahmaud Arbery, who was just jogging in the neighborhood. He was spotted by what are now known as ops. They chased him down and eventually they shot him. Now, in this case, I want to say his name right, D'Monterrio Gibson. Now, this case is old, but I still want to bring some light to it because everybody don't know about this case. He was out in a neighborhood driving for FedEx. His truck had FedEx and his uniform has FedEx. And what did they do? They ended up shooting at him, a father and son, because they told him to leave the neighborhood. You don't supposed to be here. And what's so more striking, the police department does shoddy investigations on not just his case, but 60 other cases. They did shoddy investigations. So let me go in and share my screen so we can get to the hindsight of what actually happened. And then let's not waste any more time. So this is what happened first. Now, this is not the right one. Okay, let's get to the right one first. All right, let's get to this one. We got to put them in order.
Been a long process to even get this far inside of the case. I feel like most of the time I was treated like a suspect rather than a victim.
It's almost been a year since D'Monterrio Gibson's FedEx route turned into a life-or-death situation. The 24-year-old was attempting to deliver packages along Junior Trail on January 24th when Gregory and Brandon Case allegedly shot at his vehicle and chased him. It wasn't until November 15th that the father-son duo was indicted for attempted murder.
I know that Dr. King said justice delayed is not justice denied, but 10 months, nearly 10 months from the date he was accosted, assaulted, almost killed, we finally have an indictment or indictments.
Gibson's attorney, Carlos Moore, maintains that the delay is due to a conflict of interest within the Brookhaven Police Department.
We do know that the assistant chief of police has the same last name as the Cases. His last name is Case, and he's related to them based on my investigation.
We've asked Chief Kenneth Collins about this before, only to be told, quote, "There's no relation. We've gone down the whole family tree to make sure that we're truthful. My assistant chief, Chris Case, is kin to a totally different set of cases," end quote. Regardless of what's causing the delay, Moore says it's only forcing his client to wait longer for true justice, which will come in the form of convictions.
This happened in January of this year. It is now November. On a typical timeline, you would have had indictments secured probably in March or April. You would have been at trial by now.
Okay, so I want to give you a speed up of what happened. Now, a judge declares mistrial in the shooting attack on Black FedEx driver. He was shot at, everything happened, but it was a mistrial because people in the police department failed to submit the proper documents. So let's play this.
Mississippi, a shocking turn tonight in the attempted murder trial of two white men accused of chasing and shooting at a Black FedEx driver. The judge declaring a mistrial. Jesse Kirsch has details.
Tonight, outrage in Mississippi. A judge declaring a mistrial in the case of two white men accused of trying to murder D'Monterrio Gibson, a Black FedEx driver who had just made a delivery.
And with great reluctance, the court has no choice in this matter but to grant the motion for a mistrial.
Gibson's mother escorted from court today after Judge David Strong's ruling, a day after a police officer admitted to withholding evidence. Brookhaven Police Detective Vincent Fernando saying under oath that authorities had taken a videotaped statement from Gibson, but did not share it with either the defense or prosecution, as was required.
the failure to turn over matters in discovery is just something that can't be ignored. In 17 years, I don't think I've ever seen it happen, but it happened here.
A mistrial is a major hiccup for the prosecution, but all in all, a second trial really saps the resources of the defense more than the state.
Brookhaven police have not responded to NBC News' request for comment. Gibson says in January 2022, he made a delivery in his FedEx uniform and was driving a Hertz van with the rental company's markings when Gregory Case and his son Brandon allegedly chased and shot at him. Gregory Case's attorney says his client only planned to ask the driver what was happening outside his mother-in-law's home, but the driver did not stop. Gibson believes he was chased because he's black. In a statement tonight, Gibson's attorney calling the mistrial a delay in justice, calling on the Department of Justice to investigate the Brookhaven Police Department. Jesse Kirsch, NBC News.
How you get on the stand and you admit without a shadow of doubt that you withheld evidence? Now, let's play this.
Since I started practicing law in 1993, the policy of the 14th Circuit Court District Attorney's Office has always been an open file policy, which works great, except for the fact that the state of Mississippi can only turn over evidentiary items to defense counsel if they are provided with those items. I don't know when this case was indicted. I don't have it in front of me. I can't remember it. It really doesn't matter. The bottom line is this file should have been turned over to the DA's office prior to the indictment. And by file, I mean the entire file, including a video recorded statement of the victim, which was also requested by defense to the DA's office. Mr. Bates acknowledges that. He acknowledges that he was told that it didn't exist. And lo and behold, here we are on the second day of trial, and we find out something that these attorneys have been looking for at least a week and potentially months is actually in your file. Mr. Fernando, you understand you've got to turn your entire file over to Mr. Bates' office for him to be able to prosecute these cases. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
So you come out with a video of a statement that nobody's ever seen before. And who had possession of that?
I had possession.
That's right. And was there any way for Mr. Bates to know about it, or Mr. Stubbs or Mr. Kitchens, if you didn't turn it over to Mr. Bates?
No, sir.
You understand how the system doesn't work when that happens?
Yes, sir.
I want you to go through your file and make sure that everything in your file is in possession of Mr. Bates and, by osmosis, defense counsel. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Are there any questions?
No, sir.
Any questions by defense?
I have just a couple, Judge.
Yes, sir.
Detective Fernando, did you turn over all this information to the grand jury?
Yes, sir.
You're telling this judge that you actually turned all this information over to the district attorney's office to present to the grand jury, and they had it?
To my knowledge, yes, sir. But now I had here, but I thought I gave to them.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question but that he did not turn this over to the district attorney's office.
That's what I'm kind of getting at, Judge. So,
I don't believe that. Mr. Bates, have you ever seen this before today?
No, Your Honor.
Have you asked for everything in the file?
And Your Honor, I do have the documentation, and yes, Your Honor, I have documentation from July 7, 2022, asking specifically, and I would ask this to be marked as exhibit. And we also, being the district attorney's office, sent a document requesting any and all interviews back. This is actually May the 13th, 2022, signed by Investigator Damien Gatlin and Vincent Fernando, Investigator. And I've asked those to be marked as exhibits for this.
All right, they'll be marked as next exhibits as ID only. I have no question in my mind that, in fact, Mr. Kitchens asked for it last week. Mr. Bates sought to get it, was it last week, Mr. Kitchens? Or 2 weeks ago?
Months ago, obviously, with our initial discovery request. And we talked about it when we had a hearing in here, and the officer detective was on the stand, and then again, we met him to make sure after that hearing, we all met to district attorney's office, Detective Fernando, and us in a room back in the back and went through and didn't have it. And then over the weekend, I saw a note that indicated that, you know, in the discovery file, that a Post-it note or something, I thought. So I sent an email to the district attorney's office just to make sure they confirmed they didn't have it. So, you know, we get here today and apparently it does exist.
And Mr. Bates acknowledged receiving that email and has represented to the court that he once again tried to get everything that might exist in the police department files so that he could get that information to y'all. I don't believe this to be candidly, I don't believe this to be the fault of Mr. Bates or the district attorney's office. I don't think he knew that it existed, and he's told me that, and I believe that. So I'm going to let y'all hash out whatever you need to hash out this afternoon, and we will be back here ready to go at 9 o'clock.
Okay, so you see why the case was dismissed. But it's one thing I want to point out, right? It's one more thing that I want to point out, because the Brookhaven, I had it pulled up here. Maybe I took it down. The Brookhaven Police Department detective is a corrupt bastard. I said it. He's a corrupt bastard. Let's see. Is this the one? Because it's not just, that's not the only case, right? That's not the only case. A Mississippi grand jury issued a report last month sharply criticizing a police department whose errors prompted a mistrial this week. In the case of two white men charged in an attack on a black FedEx driver, officers in the Brookhaven Police Department, this is in Mississippi, poorly investigate their cases, according to a Lincoln County grand jury that considered more than 60 criminal cases. The department is complacent and does not complete investigations in a timely manner, and shows a lack of professionalism and has a habit of witness blaming. 60 cases. The July 10th report came weeks before Judge David Strong cited police errors as his reason for declaring a mistrial Thursday in the case of Gregory Case and his son, Brandon Case, who are accused of shooting at and chasing FedEx employee D'Monterrio Gibson, who was delivering, get out of my way, please, a package near their homes in January 2022. Gibson, 25, was not injured in the attack, but the chase and gunfire led to complaints on social media of racism in Brookhaven, about an hour's drive south of the state of capital, Jackson. So I just want to showcase all of that because this case, nobody speaks about, but you got to put some spotlight on some of this stuff nevertheless. And regardless, this is Antonio with Team Tigio. Please like, comment, subscribe, as we'll be coming to you more videos in the future. And once again, we'll be seeing you in the next video.